Role of government in the development of the country. Let's learn about Green Revolution and industrialization. Agriculture. Agriculture is the backbone of the Indian economy. It accounted for almost 17% of India's GDP in 2007 and employed 60% of the total workforce. It continues to be India's largest economic sector. After years of colonial misrule, Indian agriculture was in ruins. One of the main objectives of the government was to ensure that India was self-sufficient in food. The government, through its 5-year plans, launched several measures to develop agriculture. Land reforms were launched. Land holdings of the marginal farmers were made bigger by redistributing extra land taken from the larger zamindars. These larger plots of land were more economically viable. Cooperative banks were started to give the farmers credit at reasonable rates, thus freeing them from the tyranny of the village moneylenders. Massive irrigation projects were launched which gave millions of farmers a respite from their total dependence on the monsoon. High-yielding seeds, fertilizers, and pesticides were also made available to the farmers at highly subsidized rates. The government also made arrangements to market the produce of the farmers to ensure that they got the best price for their produce. From the Zilla Parishad, the government sent officials to the villages and tells them the best techniques to adopt for maximizing output. Farmers were encouraged to mechanize the process of farming, that is, to use machines to plough the land and to harvest and thresh the grain. Credit was given to the farmers for the purchase of these machines. As a result of all these measures, India witnessed what came to be called the Green Revolution and agricultural production shot up. Thus, food grain production went up by more than 4 times in the 50 years after independence. However, the average yield of the crops per hectare in India is less than half of that of the developed nations. India is today self-sufficient in food and has a buffer stock to fall back on in case of droughts. Rural development. Several schemes were started to bring about the development of rural areas. They include the National Food for Work Program, the Community Development Program, the National Rural Employment Guarantee Schemes, etc. As their name suggests, many of these schemes aimed at providing employment for the rural poor. Through the various 5-year plans, the government has initiated a number of development programs such as Integrated Rural Development Program, Drought-Prone Areas Program, Minimum Needs Program, Jawahar Rozgar Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana, Indira Awas Yojana, Rajiv Gandhi National Water Mission, Sampurna Gramin Rozgar Yojana. Industry. The Indian leaders were well aware that any modern nation needed to have a well-developed industrial sector, especially basic industries like iron and steel and power, if it wanted to be truly independent. The government set up several public sector undertakings and some joint sectors undertakings, like the National Thermal Power Corporation, NTPC, Bharat Heavy Electricals Limited, that is BHEL BHEL, Steel Authority of India, that is SAIL, and Gas and Oil Corporation of India, that is GAIL. These corporations were made responsible for putting up thermal power stations, steel plants, oil rigs, etc. The public sector usually covers areas which are deemed too important or not profitable enough to leave to the market. including such services as the railways and the postal system. In the 1960s and 1970s, India had a shortage of foreign exchange. As a result, the government severely restricted the import of goods and encouraged Indian entrepreneurs to manufacture the goods indigenously. This gave Indian goods a sheltered market. Initially, the quality of goods made indigenously was poor, but that soon improved with time and experience. In 1991, the government announced a new industrial policy and several economic reforms. The new policy opened up areas like power, telecommunication, and aviation, which were traditionally government controlled areas, to the private sector. Economic reforms also brought foreign competition and led to an expansion in the production of fast moving consumer goods. Today, India has a strong and thriving industrial sector. That is all in this topic. In the next topic, we will learn about transportation and social sectors. Till then, keep learning.